The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
In the year Tuf Reish Samach Gimel, that's 1913, correct? In the city of the town of Radin, there came a very big fire that began in a storehouse of one of the Goyim who was storing Tavua. When did the fire break out? On Shabbos Kodesh after davening. And the wind was pretty strong, so it was kicking up the flames and stick fire, and within a few hours, all the streets of this town and all the homes in Radin became engulfed in one big flame. 200 houses were burnt, until the fire came to the house of the Chofetz Chaim. Came to his house, went out. The 26 houses that were from the Chofetz Chaim's house and further to the edge of the city were all saved, and they weren't subjected to the fire. So the son of the Chofetz Chaim writes in the Sefer on the Chofetz Chaim that on that Thursday, the night before the fire, for Shabbos, the Chofetz Chaim had a bad dream. And when he woke up in the morning, he felt terrible, and he called over a couple of his chaverim, and he made a procedure called Hatavas Chalei. But he also fasted. He didn't eat anything that Friday till evening. Chofetz Chaim worked tirelessly, not stop, to help all the Yidden who were left without a roof over their heads, and they lost all the assets. B'diyuk, exactly 1 year later, another fire broke out in Radin. That broke out not in the Jewish enclave, but it broke out in the Goyish enclave. And Lamar Ba'Pella, all those houses that didn't burn down last time, that were after the Chofetz Chaim to the edge of the city, burnt down this time. And the house of the Chofetz Chaim also got burnt, the second fire. And those 26 houses to the edge of the city were also burnt. So in the Sefer we have over here called Meir Einei Yisroel, they bring down the story from Rabbi Chaim Tzvi Sinai. Chaim Tzvi learned in Radin at that Kufa. And he says, my younger years, I lived in a little village called Sinaska, and I worked very hard in farming. I was tall, and I was strong, and I was unusually gifted with strength. When the Shreifa started out, I went with some other Bachrim to go help them to extinguish the fire. It was mamish chashash b'koch nefesh. We stood in a long line from the river of the city till the mokum where the fire was, and the first guy who stood next to the stream or the river, whatever it was, took out water in a pail, passed it to the next bacher, passed it to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth, till the fire. Since I was stronger than most of the bacher, I was given the hardest job. What was my job? I had to stand on the roof that was closest to the fire, and to take the fire from the pitchers, pails, the water from the pails, and pour it onto the house. It was standing on that roof type, balancing yourself. Was mesukin, had to get down, pull up the pail, and the roof was on a slant. I had to hold on good with one hand, and the second hand with one hand to get the pail of water. When I was on top of the roof, I realized, I saw from the distance, the Chofetz Chaim, who was standing next to his house that was going up in flames. And I had this tremendous urge to see what the Chofetz Chaim was doing now. How was he conducting himself in these fearful moments? So I ran off the roof, and I ran to the Chofetz Chaim's house. To my surprise, the Chofetz Chaim was completely at peace, completely calm, amongst this humongous tumult that was going on in the city, and amongst all the cries. And he said to the people around him, look at the Chasdei Hashem with us now. Look now. If last year the whole fire would have burnt down in one shot, the whole city would have burnt down in one shot, all the people in Radin would have remained without anything. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, his great Rachmanis, decided to divide the fire into two. So the Yidden that lost their houses and their assets last year stayed by those Yidden whose houses weren't burnt. And they got from them clothing and food till they got back on their feet. And now it was this Hapach HaGalgal, the wheel turned. The ones who helped their brothers in the past are now going to get the siyua from those whose houses are not subjected to the fire now. What a chazdei Hashem. What a chazdei Hashem. No. While his house was burning down, the Chofetz Chaim had the wherewithal and the confidence and the menuchas hanefesh to see the chazdei Hashem with all the people of the city. Rabbi Yosef Dinkelis worked in Ponovich. He was from the Talmidim of the Chofetz Chaim during World War I. He said he was there at that time also when the fires broke out. And they began to have a big discussion then about getting fire insurance in all the cities, towns in Lita, because the houses were made of wood. They were all fire hazards. And there was a constant sakana. And many were taken in by the insurance companies, and they bought fire insurance. Chofetz Chaim refused to be part of it. And he said that if a person is nigzer on him gzeira chas v'shalom, so the Midas Harachimim comes and it tries to speak on his behalf for his benefit and to plead for him. The Midas Harachimim will taina against the Midas Hadin that the einish that's waiting, this person is too hard. Have a little rachmanis. What's going to be with this guy that's going to lose everything in his reifa? He'll be mamish be'erim v'chaysa koil. That's what the Midas Harachim tainus. But if the person makes insurance for his house, for all his assets, no, the Midas Harachimim has no mokum to time. Because the Midas Hadin is going to respond and say, listen, he's not going to lose much. He has insurance. What's he going to lose? He'll get compensated from the insurance company, and he'll have new stuff now. Start again. No. Should we, he said, give insurance Midas Hadin the possibility to challenge us easier to the Chofetz Chaim? He said, I'm not buying a policy. He didn't care if others did, but he said, I'm not buying a policy. After the first fire, insurance agents came down and knocked, banging on each door to sell their wares in Radin and all the towns around Radin. And they came to the Chofetz Chaim's house when he wasn't there. And one of the family members of the Chofetz Chaim bought insurance. When the Chofetz Chaim heard about it, he wasn't happy at all. After the second insurance, the second fire, a year later, when the house of the Chofetz Chaim burnt down also, that person said to the Chofetz Chaim, no, you see, it was a good thing I bought insurance. Now at least we'll get compensation. The Chofetz Chaim told him, if you wouldn't have bought the insurance, it's yitochen that the house would not have been burnt at all. Yeah, here we have to look at such things.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org